Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's J School. I'm excited to be hosting tonight's training webinar, and I want to give a big thanks to Ryan Heinzen for the opportunity. The topic for tonight is why network marketing is the business model for the 21st century, and it's written by Robert Kiyosaki. Some of you may have heard of him already, but those that haven't, he fits many descriptions: multimillionaire, business owner, radio personality, motivational speaker, educator, and author of 16 plus books that have sold about 27 million copies worldwide, one of which was co-authored with his friend Donald Trump. So needless to say, when it comes to doing business, he knows what he's doing. And it's thanks to my sister Kim who introduced me to his books, as well as the concept of network marketing. Through her experience, I learned how powerful this business model is for building income, residual income. And as soon as I truly understood the meaning of residual income, I started to get excited about the potential that this has. But how you earn your money on this model wasn't the only thing that got my attention. A lot of other boxes were being ticked. For example, being my own boss and managing my own time, engaging with people and meeting new people, something which I love to do, helping others develop themselves and their business. This provides a training element, which I enjoy. And as importantly, sharing products of value to my customers and distributors. So I knew it was something I wanted to do, but unfortunately, no network marketing company in South Africa excited me enough to make the transition from corporate to network marketing. In the meantime, my sister kept being that dripping tap from afar, feeding me information on network marketing and personal development. So when she recommended that I read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I took the plunge and I read it. And she said to me it would change the way I looked at money and how I earned it. And she was right. And once you change the way you look at how you build your income, your whole career direction changes, which is exactly what happened to me. At the time that I read this book of Robert's, I was working in corporate. My qualifications are in industrial psychology and marketing. Although I started my career in marketing, it grew into a business development role where my focus was consultative selling on large-scale solutions. I thoroughly enjoyed this and saw success with it, but after 16 years of being in the corporate environment, the incredibly high stress of reaching targets for somebody else's business, it started to wear me down, and having two small children also triggered a restlessness in me that was further agitated. Not having enough quality time with them or not being with them when they were sick. I remember having to go overseas to Switzerland and I was catching a flight and my son's temperature was spiking to 40. So there was this constant, I was constantly being torn between my career and my family. And looking back on the timeline on those last 2 years of my career, 6 months after reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I resigned from my corporate job to join my husband's business. And 3 months after reading this book of Robert's, The Business Model of the 21st Century, I signed up with Jeunesse, and that was 2 months ago. Can I say that these books were the sole reason why I made the decision to leave corporate? No, there were other factors involved, but can I say that they greatly influenced my decision? Absolutely. So for me, the cogs in this wheel have fallen into place, and I'm incredibly excited and curious to be part of the Jeunesse journey and the Jeunesse family. His amazing leaders, people, products are adding significant value to people's well-being and confidence. And so with that said, I want to share with you a high-level summary of his book, The Business Model of the 21st Century. I want to give you the golden nuggets that I got from this book and hope that it triggers you to go out and buy a copy for yourself. Because if you find value in the following slides and the conversation that I'm about to have with you now, you will love and learn from the detail of his book. And for the most part, I summarize his thoughts. However, there are times when I read straight out of his book because, quite frankly, in my opinion, his words say it best. So unfortunately, he starts his book by painting the picture on the state of the current economy in the world. I'm not going to go into detail about the financial crisis. We all know how global economies have been rocked, but here is a sombering thought to summarize it. The number of people living officially below the poverty line is rising rapidly, and the number of people who are working beyond the age of 65 is increasing. These are incredibly high stats. I could follow this up with more negative stats, but what Robert reminds us of is this, that during the Great Depression, there were people who made fortunes. When times are bad, that's when the real entrepreneurs emerge. He emphasizes this point by asking, what do Microsoft and Disney have in common? They both launched during a recession. In fact, more than half of the corporations that make up the Dow Jones got their starts during a recession. And so he asks you, are you angry? Are you angry at the corporates and Wall Street and the big banks for letting this happen? And the governments for not doing enough or too much? Or are you angry at yourself for not taking control of your finances sooner? He says life is tough, but what are you doing about it? Moaning and groaning and blaming others won't secure your future. If you want a solid future, you need to create it. You can take charge of your future only when you take control of your income source. You need your own business. A research firm Deficit found that 72% of all adult Americans would rather work for themselves than for a job, and 67% think about quitting their jobs regularly or constantly. These stats are pretty high, and it's not just about making a living, it's about the quality of how we are living. People want more control, want to be more connected to their families and be in charge of their own time, as I was just saying about my own personal experience. So Robert starts this next chapter by asking the question, where do you live? So from his book, he says, so you've been working hard for years, climbing the ladder. Maybe you're still near the bottom of the ladder, or maybe you even got near the top. Where you are on the ladder doesn't really matter. What matters is the question that you may have forgotten to stop and ask before putting in all that time and effort climbing. Where is this ladder planted? As Stephen R. Covey points out, it doesn't matter how fast or high you climb on the ladder if it's leaning against the wrong wall. More important than the quantity of money you make is the quality of the money you make, how you make it, and where it comes from. There are 4 sources of cash flow, and each one is different from the other, and each defines and determines a very different lifestyle, regardless of the amount of cash that you earn. So he goes into great detail explaining these 4 income worlds. He calls them his cash flow quadrant. It's been his most important writing to date, and the details of this is in his book titled Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And again, I encourage you to also read this book if you haven't already. So looking at the cash flow quadrant, it represents the different methods by which a cash income is generated. For example, an employee earns money by holding a job and working for someone else or a company. The self-employed are people who earn money working for themselves, either as solo operators or through their own small business. A business owner owns a large business, typically defined as 500 employees or more, that generates money. Investors earn money from their various investments. In other words, money generating more money. He asks, which quadrant do you live in? In other words, from which quadrant do you receive the majority of the income on which you live? So looking at the E quadrant, he says, the overwhelming majority of us learn, live, love, and leave this life entirely within the E quadrant. Our educational system and culture trains us from the cradle to the grave in how to live in the world of the E quadrant. The operating philosophy for this world is what you probably learned to when you were growing up. Go to school, study hard, and get good grades, and get a good job with benefits at a good company. The S quadrant is driven by the urge for more freedom and self-determination. A lot of people migrate from the E quadrant to the S quadrant. This is the place where people go to strike out on their own and pursue the American dream. The S quadrant includes a huge range of earning power, all the way from the teenage freelance babysitter just starting out in life to the highly paid private practice lawyer. But whether you're earning $8 an hour or $80,000 a year, the S quadrant is typically a trap. You may have thought you were firing your boss, but what really happened is that you just changed bosses. The only difference is that when you want to blame your boss for your problems, that boss is you. The S quadrant can be a thankless and difficult place to live. Everyone picks on you here. The government picks on you. You spend 1 full day a week just in tax compliance. Your employees pick on you, your customers pick on you, and your family picks on you because you never take any time off. But how can you? If you do, you lose ground. You have no free time because if you take time off, the business doesn't earn money. In a very real way, he says that S stands for slavery. You don't really own your business owns you. The B quadrant. The B quadrant is where people go to create businesses. The difference between an S business and a B business is that you work for your S business, but your B business works for you. He has many B businesses. He has a manufacturing business, his real estate business, mining, and others. Those who live and work in the B quadrant make themselves recession-proof because they control the source of their own income. The I quadrant, he said, is not rocket science. His mentor taught him to live in the I quadrant by playing Monopoly, and we all know how that works. 4 green houses, 1 red hotel, 4 green houses, and 1 red hotel. Changing jobs, however, is not changing quadrants. He says, let me explain why it's so important to understand these different quadrants. How often have you heard someone complain about their job, then decide to make a change, only to end up a few years later with the same old complaints? These and dozens of others like them are all statements that reveal a person who is trapped. Trapped not only in a certain job, but in an entire quadrant. The problem is, most of the time when people do get up the initiative to actually make a change in their lives, all they do is change jobs, when what they need to do is change quadrants. So he says breaking away from those typical job structures and creating your own stream of income puts you in the best position to weather an economic storm, simply because you are no longer dependent on a boss or on the economy to determine your annual income. Now you determine it. He carries on by saying that the 4 quadrants are not just 4 different business structures. It's even more about different mindsets. So which quadrant you choose to earn your primary income from has less to do with external circumstances like your education, training, economy, etc., but much more to do with who you are at your core, your strengths, weaknesses, and central interests. It is a matter of your core financial values. It is these core differences that attract us to repel us from the different quadrants. This is important to grasp because it means that if you shift from the E or S quadrant over to the B quadrant, it isn't as simple as filling out a change of address form at the post office. You not only change what you do, but in a very real way, you also change who you are, or at least how you think. And it's important to note that you can tell which quadrant people live in by listening to their words. So, for example, in the E quadrant, the words security and safe job with benefits can be heard. In the S quadrant, the words independence and freedom to do what they want are heard. The B quadrant, wealth building, people surrounding themselves with people that are smarter than themselves. In the I quadrant, the words financial freedom and making your money working instead of you working. So these different quadrants invest in different ways and have different people with different mindsets and values. And Robert's message is pretty simple. If you want to get rich, you're going to have to move. You don't need a new job, you need a new address. So it's time to leave the left side of the chart and move over to the B and I quadrants. What defines an entrepreneur? Chapter 5, the mindset of an entrepreneur. The definition of an entrepreneur: you make things happen. He says it takes courage to discover and develop and donate your genius to this world. And here's one of my favorite lines from his book. You pull yourself out of the rows of passenger seats, you walk to the head of the bus and get behind the wheel of your life. An entrepreneur is self-determining. One of the beauties about the business of the 21st century is that all the groundwork of the business has already been done for you, and you get to have experienced leaders committed to guiding you to success. You don't have to raise capital with this business model, but you do have to build your business. Okay, it's time to take control. So looking at the power of passive income. He has a wonderful way of explaining things. He says here, have you ever used one of those spring-loaded water faucets that some public restrooms install to save water? When you turn the water on, you have to hold the faucet there because when you let it go, it bounces back to the off position. Most people's income source works just like that faucet. You get a little money flowing, and then when you let it go, it bounces back to off. You can never build freedom that way. What you want is a money faucet that you can let go of once you've turned it on because it stays on by itself. It's not just about having income today, tomorrow, and next week. It's about securing your income in perpetuity. That is passive income. It's also known as residual income. Income that continues coming in over and over long after you finished expending the effort and capital it took to creating the source of the income. So shifting yourself into the B quadrant is a strong step in this direction, but not all businesses will create passive income. If you own a restaurant, for example, you earn income only when you prepare and sell a meal. If your business fixes air conditioners, you earn income only when you provide that service. What most people need is an avenue to create passive income. Knowing this, he says, Donald Trump and I teamed up to evaluate the many kinds of business structures that can create passive income and published our results in a book, We Want You to Be Rich. So what did we discover? We found that one business model stood out from the rest. This particular business model creates passive income, but requires relatively little cash investment to start up. It has very low overhead and can be operated on a flexible part-time basis until it generates enough cash flow for the entrepreneur to transition out of his current full-time job. This business model is called network marketing, and it's what the rest of this book is about. And in chapter 7, he talks a lot about his lessons in business over the years, and he also answers the question, what is network marketing? And he builds up his experience to his personal introduction to network marketing, which is really interesting. And he then introduces his friend John Fleming, a highly experienced network marketer, to contribute to the discussion in the book. A network marketing company pays a portion of every sale received back out to the individual reps who are also the product's most committed and enthusiastic consumers. The single most powerful form of promotion in the world is personal word of mouth. That is leverage, harnessing the power of word of mouth, person to person. And we have all experienced this in our own personal lives. We trust people that we know if they recommend something. And that is why the network marketing industry is growing. Network marketing companies get an amazing level of market penetration and customer awareness that would otherwise be very tough and very expensive to get with traditional marketing. The model is powerful because it works. He says here, today, network marketing is recognized by many experts and accomplished business people as one of the fastest growing business models in the world. Warren Buffett and Richard Branson couldn't be more different. Buffett drives a pickup and lives in Omaha. Branson flies his own airline and lives on his own island in the British Virgin Isles. But they have three things in common. They are both billionaires, they are both extremely practical men, and they have both owned network marketing companies. Does that tell you something? Citigroup, Jockey, L'Oreal, Mars, Remington, and Unilever. Guess what they all have in common? They've all put a toe in network marketing water, in some cases right up to their hips. Today, network marketing is recognized by many experts and accomplished business people as one of the fastest growing business models in the world. Often after hearing a network marketing presentation, people ask, how much can I earn here? And this is not where the real value of network marketing lies, because people are still thinking in the terms of the E or S quadrant. You want to be thinking in the B and the I quadrants, where it's about owning assets that generate income. So Robert says, build assets, because whether you are working or sleeping, that the money's still rolling in. So when you build a network marketing business, not only are you learning critical life skills, you are also building a genuine asset for yourself, an asset that generates income. So a job is not an asset. You can't sell it or rent it out. When you work at a job, you're building an asset. It's just not your asset. The biggest misconception about network marketing is that it's a selling business. But selling is just earning more income. If you stop, income stops. He says in network marketing, the whole point is not to sell a product, but to build a network, an army of people who are all representing that same product or service to share with others. The goal is not for you or any other individual to sell a lot of product. It's for a lot of people to be their own best customer, sell and service a reasonable number of customers, and recruit and show a lot of other people how to do the same thing. And here's the reason you want to build that army of independent representatives. Once you do, you know what you'll have: an asset that generates income for you, passive income, residual income. Okay. Network marketing is not about earning more income. It's about building an asset. He stresses this a lot. Actually, he says it's about building 8 assets all at the same time. So what we're going to do now is actually just go through each of these assets. So asset number 1, a real world business education. There are 3 kinds of education. You get your scholastic education, which teaches you how to read and write and do maths. Then you have professional education, which teaches you how to work for money, and it prepares you for life in the E and S quadrants. And then there is financial education, where you learn to have money work for you rather than have you work for your money. He says being an entrepreneur and building a B quadrant business is not easy. In fact, I believe building a B quadrant business is one of the toughest challenges a person can take on. The reason there are so many more people in the E and S quadrants is that those quadrants are less demanding than the B quadrant. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it. And one of the beauties of network marketing is that it pulls away the veil of business and starts to show you life in the B quadrant. So it teaches you life skills like overcoming self-doubt, shyness, and fear of rejection, picking yourself up after every time that you failed and keep going. So these are the traits that you need to develop to be successful in a B quadrant business. In network marketing, you will find a business that will invest in the time, that will invest the time in your education and personal development, as well as help you actually build your business. Here are some of the critical skills that real-world education of network marketing teaches: an attitude of success, dressing for success, overcoming personal fears, doubts, and lack of confidence, overcoming the fear of rejection, communication skills, people skills, time management skills, accountability, practical goal setting, money-making skills, and investing skills. You learn to do it by doing it, not by sitting in a classroom for years, hearing someone talk about doing it. Moving on to asset number 2, a profitable path of personal development. To build wealth, you are making a change in your core values. So it's not just about changing what you do, it's about changing who you are. And he tells the story of his friend Donald Trump, who we all know is worth billions today. But there was a time when he lost everything during a real estate crash. And he talks about his experience of being $9.2 billion in debt. Can you imagine being $9.2 billion in debt? He writes that he being Donald Trump, passed a beggar on the street and realized that he was worth $9.2 billion more than I was. Yet before long, Donald was back on top again. And Robert asked the question, why? Because of who he is, or more accurately, who he had become. Robert also had a similar experience himself, losing money, and he says that he learned a lot about business through that experience, but he actually learned more about himself. So in order for your business to grow, you have to grow, okay? He talks about having the winner in you and the loser in you. Each of us has a winner and a loser inside of us. That includes me too. There's a winner in me and a loser in me, and they often compete for airtime. The reason most people just get by instead of truly succeeding in life is that they let the loser inside them dominate. I don't. I insist that the winner wins out. So how do you know when the loser is speaking up? Oh, I can't afford that. Oh, that's too risky. Or what if I fail? The winner is up for the risk, but the loser thinks only of safety and security. It's ironic. The loser yaps and squawks about safety and security and ends up stuck in a career and a life that is never truly safe or secure. Inside each of us is the winner and the loser, the rich guy and the poor guy, the one who works out and the one who sits on the couch. That's the battle. The reason you want to join a network marketing company is that they will support the rich person inside of you to stand up and be counted. Your loser friends want you to stay on the couch. They want you to play it safe and work your 40 hours a week because if you do, then you won't be challenging them to do anything different. Not your network marketing sponsor. Your network marketing team wants to see you excel, to step beyond what you're used to doing, to go beyond your history and become the more exceptional, extraordinary you instead of remaining the ordinary you. It's easy to say, I can't afford that, or it's just too expensive, or I just want my benefits. I don't want to have to work that hard or take those risks. That's the loser speaking. And you shouldn't feel bad about that, he says. We've all got one. I have one in me, and a lot of times he gets the upper hand, at least for a short time. Every morning I make that choice. Who got up this morning? The rich me or the poor me? The winner or the loser? That's our battle. So every time we let our fears, our doubts, or our low self-esteem win, the loser emerges and holds sway. Learning to share your vision and tell a powerful, persuasive story is learning how to override the loser inside you and allowing the winner to rise up to the surface. Learning how to tell a powerful story is learning how to show up as the winner you are. And most people don't have the ability to keep going, to handle disappointments and never lose sight of the vision of where they're going. They simply haven't been trained in that skill. But this is critically important. That's the real skill of someone who has mastered the B quadrant. That is thinking like an entrepreneur. And that's the single most important attribute you can learn from building your own network marketing business. Network marketing gives you the opportunity to face your fears, deal with them, overcome them, and bring out the winner that you have living inside you. He says, increasing his self-esteem was more important than my paycheck. Rebuilding my self-confidence when he lost money and his self-esteem has been priceless. And it's helped him earn millions of dollars. So how you earn your money and build your career is how you earn your destiny and build your legacy. Moving on to asset number 3. Here he talks about the circle of friends who share your dreams and your values. He says this chapter prompts you to consider who your circle of friends are. Many people spend their lives hanging out and networking with people who are holding them back financially. And if you're building your business, you actually need to be acutely aware of who you are with and who your teachers are. He says, although it's a painful experience, it's a painful consideration, it's a very, very crucial one. And this is also one of the great advantages of a network marketing business. Rather than being surrounded by people who are competing with you for the next promotion, here your business is filled with people who are just as committed to your success as you are, because your success is what assures their success. And chances are good that some of them will actually, in fact, become your new best friend. Looking at the power of your own network. The power, he says, is not in the product. The power is in the network. If you want to become rich, the best strategy is to find a way to build a strong, viable, growing network. And then he moves on to talk about Metcalfe's law. Robert Metcalfe was the founder of 3Com and one of the creators of Ethernet. And it's accredited with creating an equation that defines the value of networks, V equals N squared. In other words, a network's economic value equals the number of the network's users squared. So putting this law into simpler terms, it means that as you add users, its value increases geometrically. So think of a network of telephones. If you have just one telephone, that single telephone has no real economic value. If you're the only one with a phone, who would you call? The moment you add a phone, according to Metcalfe's law, the economic value of the phone network is squared. The economic value of the network would go from 0 to 2 squared, or 4. Add a third phone, and the economic value of the network is now 9. So in other words, the economic value of a network goes up exponentially and not numerically. And then he talks about the difference between owning a franchise versus a network. So the advantage of being a network marketer, you not only build your own network, but you also own it. And that's where you get tremendous financial leverage. you get to personally harness the power of Metcalfe's law by duplicating yourself in someone else, just like you, a partner. Now your economic value of network is squared. So when there are 3 of you, your economic value goes from 4 to 9, etc., until you hope that your network starts looking like a rocket taking off for the moon. So you're working arithmetically, but your economic value is growing exponentially. This law means that a network acts as a lever. It allows you to leverage your time and effort. And that word leverage is one of my favorite words. And he writes, network marketing is one of the fastest growing business models in the world, yet most people still cannot see it. And why is this so? People might see the product or the financial or legal services, but they don't realize that that isn't really the business. The real business is not the product, but the networks through which the product travels. People still don't grasp the value of network marketing because it's invisible. It's virtual. It's not material. You cannot see it with your eyes because there is very little to see. He says, as a network marketer, you might think your job is to demonstrate and sell a product. It's not. Your job is to communicate information and to tell a great story and to build a network. A duplicable, fully scalable business. So the magic key here is the ability to duplicate, not the ability to be the top salesperson. I can hear a lot of you breathing a sigh of relief. As a successful network marketer, you need to continuously develop and energize your growth engine. And your growth engine are the people who duplicate themselves. And again, what gives you your network marketing business its real power is not what you can do, it's what you can duplicate. So for example, when you start your own network marketing business, you don't have to become a great public speaker. In fact, he says, he goes so far as to say it could actually work against you because it's a highly specialized skill and therefore not very duplicable. He writes in his book, here's a critical truth about network marketing that may surprise you. It is not a business for those who are gifted in sales. For a born salesman to succeed in network marketing, often the first thing he or she has to do is forget everything they know about selling. Many of the most successful network marketers I've ever seen have been coaches, moms, pastors, teachers, people who really enjoy telling stories and helping others. Network marketing is about sharing information and personal stories and not about hard selling. It's also about caring about the success of those you bring into the business, which is a good thing, by the way, because only 1 person in 20 is a natural-born salesman. The key to success in sales is what you can do. The key to success in network marketing is what you can duplicate. So Robert says sometimes when he says that this business is not about sales, he gets a very skeptical reaction. Yeah, but aren't you kind of splitting hairs? I mean, whether you call it selling or sharing information, isn't it pretty much semantics? And John Fleming says, no, it's not semantics and you're not splitting hairs. And it's that duplication factor that really dramatically shows you the huge difference between sales and network marketing. Here's what I would tell that person. If you're an amazing, uniquely skilled, superstar salesperson, then you can do great in sales and chances are good you will do lousy in network marketing. Why? Because while you might sell a lot of products, most people in your network won't be able to duplicate what you do. So consequently, your network cannot grow and it dies an early death. Asset number 6, incomparable leadership skills. He says, when I was first researching the world of network marketing, I went to many meetings and events where I heard dozens of people speaking from the front of the room in their efforts to inspire others to find their own personal greatness. As I listened to these individuals tell their stories of starting with nothing and eventually becoming wealthy beyond their wildest dreams, I realized that this business was doing for these people exactly what my mentor told me to do. It wasn't simply teaching them the principles of business, it was shaping them into leaders. While they seemed to be talking a lot about money, these people were really inspiring others to get out of their shells, go beyond their fears, and go for their dreams. and to do that required leadership skills on the part of the speaker. The reason it takes leadership is that while many people repeat the same overused words and phrases about dreams, more time with family, and freedom, few people inspire enough trust and inspiration to cause others to follow those words and phrases. It's not a matter of memorizing and repeating the right words. It's developing the ability to speak directly to other people's spirits. This is a quality that goes beyond words. This is genuine leadership. He says, leadership is the force that makes it all come together. Leadership is what builds great businesses. Having the capacity to lead is a skill set so valuable, so powerful, and so rare that it is genuinely an asset unto itself, and it deserves its own chapter. All the other business skills are important ingredients, but leadership is the force that makes it all come together. Leadership is what builds great businesses. So he says a business that has forgotten to tell its own story is soon out of business, even if it's got tons of stock sitting in the warehouse. And when a business is struggling financially, it's often because the leader of that business cannot communicate the company's vision and tell the story. So they may be smart, but they are poor communicators. The leadership skills you need to develop for the B quadrants are very different from management skills that are most often required for the E and S quadrants. Although management skills are important, there's a big difference between management skills and leadership skills. And as a leader in this business, people need to trust you and be inspired by you for them to follow you. And when if you look at successful network marketers, communication is their number one skill. So Robert talks about how he attended a lot of events and realized that even though these network marketing speakers were rich and they probably didn't even have to be at the event, they had a passion for teaching and helping their fellow human beings. And he began to realize that this network marketing business is based on leaders pulling people up, while a traditional corporate or government business is based on only promoting a few people and keeping the masses of employees content with a steady paycheck. So these network marketers were not saying, if you don't perform, you lose your job. Instead, they were saying, let me help you do better and better. And as long as you want to learn, I'll be here to teach you. We're on the same team. So it's all about collaboration. And the beauty about this business is this: not a single, and this is the part that I love, not a single independent network marketer punches a time clock or has to show up for work or takes orders. Nobody can tell you what to do. So why does it work? And Robert emphasizes that it's leadership, okay? It's the leadership that you develop in your network marketing business that will show up in every other sphere of your life. Moving on to asset number 7, a mechanism for genuine wealth creations. He goes into detail about why one of the biggest reasons for him writing this book is to make sure that we understand the difference between money and wealth. Wealth is not the same thing as money, okay? Wealth is not measured by the size of income, it's measured by time. So a typical example for this would be, why does often $1 million lottery winner end up broke after 3 years after earning his or her millions? It's because while they had a sudden windfall of money, they had no concept of wealth. He says wealth is not the same thing as money. It's not measured by the size of income. It's measured in time. So he says if all I have to my name is $1,000 in a savings account and my expenses are $100 a day, then my wealth equals 10 days. Wealth is the ability to survive so many number of days forward. So ask yourself, if I stopped working today, how long could I survive financially? Your answer is equal to your wealth at this moment. And then he says, let's deepen that definition. Wealth is measured by the richness of your life experience today, plus the number of days into the future that you have the capacity to continue living at that level of experience. One reason the rich get richer is that the rich work for a different kind of money. They don't work to generate income. They work to build wealth. There's a vast difference between the two. And one of the most profound values of a network marketing business, and it's one that the great majority of people who look at this business do not quite grasp, is that it is an engine of personal wealth creation. big dreams and the capacity to live them. Asset number 8. The beautiful thing and the most valuable thing about what I have found about the network marketing business model is that they stress the importance of going for your dreams. Not only having dreams, but living your dreams. Leaders in my upline, and I'm sure yours, are encouraging you to dream big and to change your way of thinking. So Robert stresses how important it is to, instead of asking yourself or saying to yourself, I can't afford that, rather say, how can I afford that? So even a simple shift in thinking can create a habit that enables you to believe that you can make these dreams come true. So that is why when your leaders in your upline at Jeunesse ask you to know your why and set your goals and complete your vision board, do the work, because your dreams and your goals are the foundation of your success. And they're going to keep you going when you have a low day. When you have a low day, you're going to revisit why you are doing this in the first place. And you're going to go back to your vision board and you're going to go back to your goals to inspire yourself again. So let's look at what it takes. Well, let's actually first look at what it doesn't take, okay, being involved in this business model. You don't need an MBA or a high-powered background. You don't have to be great at sales. You don't need to quit your job. You don't need to be rich or take out a second mortgage to start. And you don't need to be a genius at negotiation or a whiz with numbers. What you do need is to be honest with yourself. You need to have a great attitude, the right attitude. You need to invest in real growth, in your personal development, and you need to take the time to do this. So he says, choose wisely. So you've decided to start your own network marketing business. Congratulations. So how do you choose which one? On what criteria do you base your decision? So even though exceptionally high quality products are often the hallmark of network marketing companies, Robert says that products are not the most important consideration. And he writes there, let me repeat that. The product is not the most important consideration. Remember, you're not taking a job as a salesperson. You're going into a business for yourself, and this business is network marketing. So the question that should be foremost in your mind is this company going to help me learn how to become a master network builder? The number one reason why Robert recommends network marketing is for its system of real-world business education and personal development. He says here, a network marketing system is set up to make it possible for anyone to share in the wealth. It's open to anyone who has drive, determination, and perseverance. It doesn't care about your family name or what college you went to, or if you went to one at all. How much money you make today, what race or sex you are, how good looking you are, how popular you are, or even how smart you are. Most network marketing companies care primarily about how much you are willing to learn, to change, and to grow, and whether you have the guts to stick it out through thick and thin while you learn to be a business owner. Is this true of every single network marketing company out there? No. As in anything, there are the good, the bad, and the ugly, and there are also the truly great. But the better companies out there will be totally dedicated to your business education. They are committed to the long haul and place a priority on developing your skills and your abilities. When you find a company like that, with leaders above you who are willing to train you and help you become the business person you can be, that's a company to stay with. Is the compensation plan important? Sure. Is the quality of the product line critical? Of course. But far more than those things, what I really look at is how dedicated the company is to developing you as a strong B quadrant individual, a genuine wealth-building business person. That's the most important thing about the network marketing company you affiliate with, because it really is your business school. So if you like what you hear from the initial presentation, take some time to actually meet the people who do the educating and training. So he says, look past the compensation and the products and look into the heart of the company. Is it truly interested in training and educating you? This takes more time than just listening to a sales pitch, clicking through a colorful website and hearing about how much money people are making. To find out how good a company's education really is may require you to get off your couch and look into its training, seminars, and events. And here are a few questions to ask yourself about a network marketing company. The first one is who's running the ship. Inexperienced people who approach a new business with an E quadrant or S quadrant perspective often look at a company's products, pay plan, or promotion to judge the strength of the company. He says, I skip over all that and look directly at the principles, the people at the helm. It's not the product and pay plan and everything else. It's not that they aren't important, but no company is perfect and problems happen. So if you have the right people running the ship, then whenever something goes wrong, they'll fix it. In fact, if you have great people running the company, there's no problem that they can't fix. But if you have the wrong people at the helm, then when problems happen, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So don't judge a book by its cover. Look beyond their videos and websites and look at the principles. What are their backgrounds, their experience, their track records, and their character? And whether or not you get to know them personally or ever work with them directly, they are the partners that you are getting into business with. Does the company offer a proven plan of action? The most lucrative and viable network marketing opportunities will not expect you to reinvent the wheel. Instead, they will offer plans of action to help you create the success you're after. Some companies will offer business owners a personalized website to help educate prospects or share products and opportunities. First-class professional presentation tools such as CDs, DVDs, podcasts, and print materials have become standard fare for the typical network marketer's toolbox. The next question, does the company embrace business skills and personal development regularly in training? I've made it pretty clear that I hold the training and education you get as the number one value in your network marketing experience, even more than the income stream you're building, so make sure it's there. Make sure your company places a high value on regular training, both in business skills and also in character development and personal growth. For decades, leaders in this industry have known that it pays to provide their people a steady diet of great inspirational and educational material. One of the beauties of this system is that it is set up to be the exact opposite of the dog-eat-dog corporate environment, where even your best friend may climb over you to get to the next rung on the ladder. In network marketing, that kind of cutthroat competition doesn't happen, simply because your sponsors and upline's success depends on your success. The people who profit from your growth want you to grow. Does the company have a strong, high quality, and highly marketable product line that you can be passionate about? Even if it isn't consideration number one, the company's product offering is critically important. Why? Because of one word, and that is buzz. Network marketing companies don't do a lot of mass media advertising. You don't often see billboards or TV ads for these products. Why not? Because they use a completely different promotional model. Instead of putting their advertising budgets into expensive mass media, they put their advertising budget into people like you and me. He says, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about hype. I'm talking about genuine qualities and attributes. Your product has to be the real deal. That said, it's important to remember that there's room for thousands of best products and services. Okay? Is there a strong market for the product? That's the question you have to ask. Is it something that will appeal to a vast number of people? And is it priced competitively? Do you believe in the product's value, and will you use it personally? And does it have a great story to tell? Because when you are genuinely passionate about the product you're sharing with others, they'll be more likely to become excited about it too. And so for me personally, Jeunesse is strong in every one of these criteria. I've spent a great deal of time researching these areas, and I'm very impressed and inspired by what I have seen and from what I have experienced so far. From the founders of the company to the incredible IT back-end support system, they have a wealth of knowledge available, and they make it easily accessible to us. And it's across all mediums, so events, websites, webinars, podcasts, print and social media platforms. And on top of this, we also have access to highly professional and polished leaders who are not only successful in this business, but who are also very approachable and enthusiastic and committed to help and support you in every way. So in my 2-month involvement with Jeunesse, I've been to 3 of their events, and we have our leaders coming back out to South Africa in July yet again. So in 6 months, they've hosted 4 events around South Africa, which is evidence of their commitment to helping us grow this incredible business opportunity into South Africa, into Africa and beyond even these borders. And then don't even get me started talking about the products, because I truly believe that these are life-changing products, and I don't say that flippantly. Thanks to Jeunesse, the condition of my skin is improving significantly, which makes me feel great about how I look and feel. And I've said it before, finding Jeunesse has been the best 40th birthday present for me. And even though I've only been on the products for 9 weeks now, I'm already having numerous friends and acquaintances passing comments on how awesome my skin is looking. So Lyndon Biernoff is right. He said recently, you don't need to sell these products. They will sell themselves. You just have to put them in front of people, which I thought was a great comment to make. And looking at the 5-year plan, talking about timing, how can we quickly build our network marketing empire and spread the word of these amazing products? Robert says, don't be fooled if you hear anyone trying to tell you that you should see quick results. He says this isn't some 6-month headed lucky joyride. He says this is serious business, and it's your life that we're talking about here. So when he is asked, how much time should I give this business? He answers, if you are serious about starting your journey, I recommend committing to a minimum of 5 years of learning, growing, changing your core values, and meeting new friends. Why? Because that's realistic. He says, get rich quick is an oxymoron. And if any of you have read Malcolm Gladwell's amazing book, Outliers, The Story of Success, you'll be familiar with his explanation that to become outstandingly accomplished at anything, it takes about 10,000 hours of hard work. So if you look at 10,000 hours, and you do the maths, if you work 8 hours a day for 5 days a week, you hit that 10,000 hour mark after 5 years of full-time effort. So even though you don't need to become the best in the world, you do have to master the skills of the business and to master what it takes to build a massive network with passive income. He says, do yourself a favor and give yourself enough time. And to end off, I'm going to reiterate this message that comes from him. It all comes down to action. You can plan all you want, study all you want, and learn all you want. But the only people who win in network marketing are people who take action today, tomorrow, and every day. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight to learn more about this phenomenal business model. I hope that these messages from Robert's book confirms for you that the decision you've taken in starting a business in network marketing is the right decision, and that partnering with Jeunesse is an incredibly exciting opportunity to take control of our own lives and to design our own future. My goal with this business is to gain perfect days for me and my family. And I'm riding this wave called Jeunesse, and I hope to bump into you along the way. So thank you for your time and have a good evening.